This is a 25-mile segment of the Continental Divide Trail through the Henry's Lake Mountains. We made a loop of it with an additional 13 miles of highway. We started and ending at the junction of Idaho State Route 20 and 86, picking up the trail at mile 9 and then add an additional 4 miles to get back to the car. Make no mistake, this ride is a butt kicker. With almost 5,700 feet of climbing and many technical obstacles, it took all the strength and resolve we could muster, and then some. To make matters worse, my rear brake developed a leak, so I only had a front brake for most of the ride. The first 9 miles of the ride were chill, the shoulder was wide, and all the cars gave us plenty of room, and the views were great. We stopped at the trailhead for a snack for about 10 minutes, and then off we went. We're at the Continental Divide, off the road, and onto the trail. I must admit, I was really disappointed by this next section. I heard so many great things about this single trek in the weeks leading up to the ride. However, it was overgrown and bumpy. However, you can't complain about the views. All right, doing fine. Flowers are out today. A little overgrown right here. Long downhill. Hey there! There we are, Mile Creek. I literally hiked this next section the week before. I remember the grade being incredibly even, without even the slightest change in grade. Well, on a mountain bike, you certainly notice even the smallest differences. Every time the grade went up even a few percent, it was 100% effort to keep the bike moving forward. When we got to the switchbacks, it was even worse. It takes a couple of hard pedal strokes to keep the bike around, and I frankly didn't have it in the tank. It did not take too long before we had to walk around all but the easiest switchbacks. As we got higher and higher, we were more and more wasted. It was a matter of survival. Right, now we're on the main trail. The quality of the trail should improve quite a bit, and the grade is going to get very even. Well, good so far. When we got to the summit saddle, we dropped the bikes and walked. Suddenly, all the tiredness in our legs vanished, and it was a leisurely stroll to the top. The only thing that kept us from hanging out longer was the chilly wind and our grumbling stomachs. Lunch, unfortunately, also marked the end of our water. All right, we're walking now. You can always see in the Hipkin and Yellowstone. Here we are, Targhee Peak, the second highest point, because apparently that is. All right, 360 from on top. That's West Yellowstone, and you can just barely make out Grand Teton, and that's Sawtell and Jefferson. That's the saddle where we came up on, and we're going to head out through there somehow. coming off the saddle and the trail got way more technical. This was a problem with my missing rear brake. I also knew that we had another 1,000 feet of climbing left to do, most of it in a single push. For the most part, the trail was fast and fun. Unfortunately, I let the speed get away from me a few times and had a rather nasty endo. The last climb squeezed any remaining pride out of my weary legs, and we were well and truly wrecked.
I'm okay. Just my bruised tailbone and my ego.
The descent off the ridge was a highlight from a day filled with highlights. The views were expansive, amazing, and never-ending. I was constantly afraid I would crash due to all my gawking. By this time, we were in full send mode, and our smiles were plastered onto our faces. When we got to the highway, the only thing we could think about was getting water. It was hours since we drank last.
Oh! Yeah. Get some water.
So what do you think? Are you up to the challenge? Not a ride to take lightly, but certainly worth the effort.